Genesis made 10th look like a long list of names, but this chapter is the foundation of every nation on earth. It shows how the families of Noah spread across the world and how God begins shaping human history after the flood. This chapter is rich with meaning. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to our verse-by-verse teaching through Genesis. Today we're in Genesis chapter 10, a chapter known as the Table of Nations. This is one of the most significant genealogical records in the Bible. Not just a list of names, but a map of God's sovereign dispersion and purpose for the nations. Genesis 10 verse 1. Now this is the genealogy of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And sons were born to them after the flood. After the flood, Noah's 3 sons become the roots of all humanity. Genesis 10 outlines how their descendants spread across the earth. Vadi Baucham emphasizes that God is not only interested in individuals, but in nations, because he rules over all human history. Verses 2 to 5, the sons of Japheth. Japheth's line spreads largely toward Europe and northern Asia. Names like Gomer, Magog, and Javan are connected to regions such as Greece, Russia, and other Indo-European peoples. From these, the coastland peoples of the Gentiles were separated into their lands. V5. God's design included the spreading of diverse ethnic groups, languages, and geographies, but all from one family. This affirms the unity and dignity of all human life. Verses 6 to 20, the sons of Ham. Ham's descendants settled in parts of Africa and the ancient Near East. His son Cush led to Nimrod, a powerful figure. Nimrod began to be a mighty one on the earth, a mighty hunter before the Lord. Verses 8 to 9. Nimrod's name is tied to Babel, Assyria, and Nineveh, centers of rebellion and empire. John MacArthur notes that Nimrod symbolizes early human kingdoms that sought power apart from God. Out of that land, he went to Assyria and built Nineveh. V11. This anticipates the conflicts Israel will face later in Scripture. Verses 15 to 19, Canaan's line. The descendants of Canaan, Ham's son, include the Hittites, Jebusites, Amorites, nations that would later come under God's judgment as Israel enters the Promised Land. Genesis 10, verse 20. These were the sons of Ham, according to their families, their languages, in their lands, and in their nations. This verse emphasizes a key truth. God ordained family, language, and territory as part of national identity. Nations are not accidents. They are part of God's providential design. Verses 21 to 31, the sons of Shem. Shem's line includes Eber v. 21, from whom the Hebrews descend. Shem's line lead to Abraham and ultimately to Christ. Children were born also to Shem, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder. This sets the stage for redemptive history. Through Shem's line, God will bring forth the covenant promise. Genesis 10, verse 32, NKJV. These were the families of the sons of Noah, according to their generations, in their nations, and from these the nations were divided on the earth after the flood. This genealogical map leads directly into Genesis 11 and the Tower of Babel. But chapter 10 shows God's hand in the distribution of people and nations. This was not random chaos, but sovereign placement. Theological takeaways. Unity of humanity. All people come from one family. Racism, tribalism, and ethnic pride are sins against God's design. Diversity by design. God intended for cultures, languages, and lands to develop, not to divide us, but to reflect His glory. Sovereign purpose in nations. Acts 17, verse 26 confirms this. He has made from one blood every nation, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings. Line of redemption. God is narrowing the line from Noah to Shem to Eber, preparing the way for the Messiah. Conclusion and application. Genesis 10 teaches us to see humanity as one race under God with many nations by design. Recognize God's providence over history and geography. Live with gospel clarity in a world divided by ethnicity and power. Ask yourself, do I see every human being as made in God's image? Am I honoring God's purposes for nations or elevating my own? Do I trace my hope not to my ancestry, but to Christ, the Redeemer of all nations? Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more verse-by-verse Bible teachings. Family, Thank you for reading Genesis 10 with me today. If something spoke to your heart, share it in the comments. May God bless you and deepen your understanding of His Word. I'll see you tomorrow.